Hello everyone, it's Elaine. Thank you for joining me today on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be sharing these super cute cards today using Hello Bluebird stamps and the Lawn Fawn scalloped pop-up box card. So to start off with, I'm taking some plain white cardstock, my distress inks in Blueprint Sketch, chipped sapphire and black soot. This is just some standard heavyweight cardstock, nothing special. And this is going to form the back panel of my pop-up box card. So I'm starting with Blueprint Sketch, then coming in with the chipped sapphire. So I want a darker sky at the top and just gradually blending that out into the Blueprint Sketch. And just to darken that top edge just a little, I'm using the black soot. Trying to use a light hand if possible. I didn't want it to be too dark, I just wanted to add a bit of depth. Now to add some snowflakes to my sky, I have dried that cardstock with the distress ink on using my Embossing Buddy. And I'm taking the Snowfall background stencil or background stamp from My Favourite Things. And I'm just inking that up with some Versamark ink and then pressing that down as hard as I can. Apologies that you can't see the whole stamp platform, it's quite large and my filming area is quite small. So here I'm taking some superfine white embossing powder from Ranger and then heat setting those snowflakes with my heat tool. And I was really happy with how this turned out. I thought it looked super cool. And a nice little wintry scene. So now I'm taking that die, the pop-up box die, and I'm going to be putting that through my die cutting machine. And here you'll see this is how that background piece is going to look. So I just trim that bottom piece. I don't cut it off completely, but I just trim the edges down the side a little and take a small section off the bottom, just so that you can't see any edges when the pop-up box card is open. So just quickly, I'm putting my box together. I have made 2 of these cards. I'm just showing the process for 1 card. So what I like to do is score all of my edges first before putting it together. Just using my bone folder to score those lines. And on the other piece, I will score in exactly the same places, but I will leave that back score line unscored. If that makes sense. I'll show it briefly here in a minute. There's been lots of tutorials on putting box cards together, so if you want to skip this bit, please feel free. So here we go, that's the piece I'm going to be not scoring, and that's where that snowy background is going to go. So this is how it's going to fit together. And before I do put everything together, I'm just going to secure that sky scene down onto the back of my card. Just lining those scallops up. Now I'm taking some 1/4 inch score tape along those tabs. And I shall put the first piece together. This is some really nice white cardstock. It's got a linen texture on one side. I thought that was quite nice to make a change from my normal just smooth cardstock. Just putting some score tape on the other tab, folding that over and closing it down. Now I did make an error here. I didn't put my tabs on the inside. You'll see in a minute. So at the moment I've just got a box. But this is the other way to do it, or the way I usually do it, is to take my tabs, score those, and then I put some more score tape, some more 1/4 inch score tape on all of those tabs. And you can add as many sort of tabs in as you like. I used 3 on this card. It depends how busy you'd like your card to be. So then I just go ahead and remove the score tape. Excuse my head, I was trying to line everything up. So I just put those tabs in at sort of even intervals. And then I remove the tape from the other end of those tabs and then fold them back on themselves. And secure that other end down. And I did forget to score that, so you can see it's easier when it's all scored. And then just that end flap, I popped some score tape on there, lined everything up, and the box is complete. So if you do forget to add the tabs in like I did, this is one way to do it. So put your score tape on the end, fold those little end pieces down so they're sort of inverted so they don't stick on the way down. And then I just sort of slot them in and then press with my fingers. So it wasn't a complete disaster. There are ways to fix things. So there's my pop-up box card complete at this stage. So there's the 2 of them together. These are for my boys. I have 2 boys. So now I've cut some clouds for one of the cards. 3 lengths of clouds using the Avery L cloud die. And I'm just trimming those down to the same length as the inside of the tabs on that inside pieces of that card. I'm just using some liquid adhesive and I'm just securing those down to those tabs on the inside. And once I'm happy, I just sort of squish my card to the side just to secure those down. I do that for all of 3 tabs, and then in the background I'm going to have, of one of my cards, I'm going to be having some mountains. This is from Mama Elephant Snow Cap Mountains die, and I have just popped some glittery cardstock onto the tops of those mountains. I did wanted to ink blend these mountains, but I forgot. So again, I'm just securing that directly to that back panel. And for this card, I've just used some Lawn Fawn hillside borders, again from glittery cardstock, and I'm going to be using those to stick onto those tabs. Just trimming those down to the right length, adding some liquid adhesive again, and popping those onto my card. I love these types of cards. They kind of take the guesswork out of creating the scene. So I do tend to make quite a few of them. I do have others on my channel. If you want to check those out, I will pop a link up on the screen. So just putting that final hillside scene into the card. So now I'm moving on to the colouring, just a little bit of colouring. I haven't shown all of the images I've coloured, but I have shown all of the colours I've used, I believe. So this is Copic friendly cardstock and stamped out with Memento Tuxedo black ink. I tried to put the caps onto the screen. Some of my markers are chows and I haven't labelled them yet, so I will list all of the colours again in the description box below, and also onto my blog if you're interested and can't catch all of the colours here, because I have sped the colouring up quite considerably. So this is Santa in his sleigh and he's adorable, and I love these images. They're really easy and quite quick to colour. I'm using some cool greys for the white clothing on his suit and hat. I tend to use warm greys for hair and on Santa, his beard and eyebrows. I'm using my go-to colour combination for skin, E13, E11, E00. Just adding some browns to his sleigh, a couple of greens to the presents in his sleigh, and I think I used like a teal aqua colour for one of the presents. And my reindeers were all coloured exactly the same. So some E50 markers for the actual reindeer, some pinks on the cheeks, some darker markers for the antlers, the same reds for the bow and the scarf, and the same greens that I used on the present is the same for the wreath, and all of those colours were the same for all of the images I used on these cards today. So the reds and the cool greys for the candy canes. So now I'm just taking the coordinating dies, I've cut them all out, and now I'm going to start adhering everything to the cards. So for the card with the snow-capped mountains, I'm using my sleigh and popping a few of the images around the card. So I like to use these little craft pegs. I have bags of them. I've never used them, but I finally found a use. I just like to use these little pegs to secure down my images while I'm waiting for the glue to dry. And so for my sky scene card, I am using these pieces of acetate which I've cut into strips, and I'm just popping a piece of acetate on the back of each of those images with some washi tape, because I want to make them look like they're flying through the sky. So there they are. And this was quite fiddly, so I do apologise if it's all you're seeing is my fingers. But I popped some washi tape onto the acetate and then just push that down and squeeze to the back of those clouds. Now I did make these quite high. Off camera I did go and move them down a touch. Exactly the same pretty much, just a little bit lower down because they weren't going to fit into an envelope. So just bear that in mind if you're making these cards. I added some twine as well to make it look like Santa was flying them when they were on reins. Now just some sort of final elements of my card. I'm using the Lawn Fawn Quilted backdrop die, and I have cut out these pieces from that Scallop pop-up box card die set, and I'm just securing these pieces down with some liquid adhesive and doing some really simple sentiments on these cards. I've just taken some scrap of black cardstock and I'm going to heat emboss a white sentiment on black cardstock. So I've taken my Embossing Buddy, some Versamark ink, and just ink that up a couple of times. And then for this one I'm doing Bring on the Merry, and the other one was Jingle All the Way. So now just coating that with some superfine white embossing powder from Ranger. I've taken a die from Blueprint 27 by My Favourite Things, and I've cut those out and adhering that with some more liquid adhesive. For the Bring on the Merry, it was a little bit longer, so I just trimmed down those edges, and just some final finishing touches, some paper cut out from the Really Rainbow Christmas pack from Lawn Fawn, and the cards are complete. So thank you for joining me today for that card process video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. Also subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Have a lovely weekend and I'll see you next time. Bye.